We were heading for the island of Peleliu, which is on the southern end of the Palauan chain. This island is also the site of one of the most savage battles of World War II. We'll be taking you on a land tour after we finish our dive on the southern tip of Peleliu. When you're diving in the waters off Peleliu, and particularly this spot, you'll be enjoying the exotic mixture of the Pacific Ocean and the Philippine Sea. Like most dive sites in Palau, you'll be diving walls or channels with an incoming or outgoing tide. It's very important to pay attention at the dive briefings and maintain contact with your guide, especially if you're diving in a strong current. If you check your gear in the morning and listen to the dive guides, you'll guarantee yourselves an experience like no other in the world. This Palauan giant clam is typical of what you can find in the Rock Islands. And no, it's not going to grab a hold of your leg and hold you underwater like the old black and white movie you saw when you were a kid. In fact, these clams are being harvested so extensively for food and souvenirs that their numbers declined alarmingly. Today, some Palauans are raising giant clams and contributing to the economy as well as helping to sustain giant clams in the wild. The giant clam is a tridacnid and is a hermaphrodite. They're capable of releasing millions of eggs and sperm into the ocean. Of these millions of eggs, very few survive. If they do, they're capable of reaching lengths of about 1 meter and weighing hundreds of pounds. While we were in Palau, we saw several different varieties with different colors. Apparently, they all need extensive sunlight to thrive. During our kayak tour in the Rock Islands, these clams seemed quite common. The effort to raise and in some instances restock the waters is another example of the Republic of Palau's commitment to sustaining and enhancing their country's national resources.
In the Hill 300, it's only for the Japanese sniper hill. Over 80 Japanese snipers were on the top of this.
In 1985, the island of Peleliu was designated a U.S. National Historic Landmark. The Battle of Peleliu took place in 1944, and over 1,000 Marines died in the fighting to secure the island. Peleliu was thought to be a threat to General Douglas MacArthur's plans in the Pacific. And because there was an airfield on the island, which could have launched planes and attacked American assets, the decision to secure the island was made. At one of the beaches the Marines landed on, there were so many dead and wounded, the water turned orange. When the island was finally secured, over 12,000 Japanese were killed. About 3 years later, in 1947, Japanese holdouts were still surrendering. Our guide Tanji told us that his parents and the rest of the islanders were relocated to another island and were spared from the naval and air bombardments. The Marine Corps erected a monument dedicated to all of their fallen comrades. It overlooks an area where some of the bloodiest fighting took place. There were 8 Congressional Medals of Honor awarded from the Battle of Peleliu. Captain Pope was one of the 8. Pope went into the battle with a full company of Marines, and after securing this hill from the Japanese, he walked away with less than 10 able-bodied men.
We'll be right back with more Hawaiian diving adventures. Welcome back to Hawaiian Diving Adventures.
No one really knows Palau's early history, but recent studies indicate that Palauans are relatives of Malays from Indonesia, Melanesians of New Guinea, and Polynesians. Scientists have carbon-dated artifacts found in the islands that trace the Palauans back to about 1000 BC. We were enthusiastically welcomed at this school in Koror, and like they say, kids will be kids. The first recorded contact with Palau was in 1783, when English Captain Henry Wilson and his crew were shipwrecked in the Rock Islands. The islands fell under Spanish rule, and in 1899 were turned over to Germany. After World War I, a mandate from the League of Nations passed the islands to the Japanese rule. After Japan's defeat in World War II, Palau entered into a trusteeship agreement with the United States. In 1994, Palau gained independence when it signed the Compact of Free Association with the United States. October 1st is Palauan Independence Day, and they celebrate on Koror with softball games, powerboat races, outrigger canoe racing, and lots of free food, balloons, and cake. Earlier, we stopped by to pay our respects with Croor's governor, John Gibbons. He gave us a warm Ploughing welcome, and we immediately began exchanging stories of our families and homes. We also talked about the incredible natural beauty of the islands. As Croor's chief administrator, John talked about the crossroads that Palau finds itself at. As a young, independent nation, Palau is beginning to attract investors from other countries, and the challenge is to bring progress to Palau and at the same time maintain her most precious assets, those being her people and the unique beauty of the islands.